just the nature of things. But there are big backs, and then there are big backs, right? And I'm sure we're all aware of the difference, right? So try to be the good one. How about that? That's my little tip of the morning. But one thing I think was probably a good way to start this particular back day was a bit of reflection on my end. What have I learned? What kind of tips and tricks and changes have I made to my back training from absolute beginner to now nearly 7 years later as a reasonably knowledgeable lifter, I would say. I don't think anybody would argue with that statement. But what have I learned? I think my first big kind of step towards improving my back training towards, actual muscle hypertrophy, actual gains, actually making back progress, for me at least, was losing deadlifts. Now, I'm not saying that's across the board. There's a lot of guys with big backs that still do deadlifts. But I'm just saying, for me, my back days, on occasion, right, this is right when I started, would, on occasion what would happen is the whole back day, there wouldn't be working sets. There wouldn't be big fancy pants, lat, rotator cuff warm-ups or anything else. Like, I'd have some back days where I go into the gym, back is the intent, and all I ended up doing was maxing out my deadlift, right? One, obviously, warm up enough, but 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 3.5 plate, 3 at 25 and a 10, and then 4, and then, well, there was no end then, right? The day I hit 405, my PR deadlift, after I don't know how many months, was also the day that I failed my heaviest deadlift attempt, and that was 455. I got it to my shins. I think if I really got in the zone and went crazy, I could have done it. But 405, all-time best, and I've got no intent to break that record, or that personal record, at least. So after getting the deadlifts out of my mind, just because it's like, what's it really doing for me, right? I don't know exactly who I heard it from, because of course at the time I was watching a ton of different kind of workout style videos and everything else, and for whatever reason, or from whoever I watched and got this advice from, spending an hour and a half working up to a big ass single rep max, that time and energy can be spent more efficiently, right? Like the amount of time definitely time, maybe not so much energy, right? Because you're only doing a few reps at a time. But even if you're doing working sets of deadlifts, I kind of feel like that effort might be better off spent otherwise, Like the amount of energy that I would spend doing a set of 10 reps of deadlifts or something. I'm going to work my glutes, going to work my quads, going to work my hamstrings, going to work my erectors, my lower back, and I'm going to get some lat activation and a ton of traps too. But everything kind of combined, that's a lot of fatigue for what I would say relatively not very dense, patterned shots right onto my back. It's like deadlifts is you're hitting your build with a shotgun. Now, in terms of overall strength, that's not my forte, but I would imagine, just based on what I've kind of seen everybody else do, yeah, pretty good damn just overall strength. I don't want to say overall size builder, but definitely kind of overall strength builder, to put it kind of simply like that. But I would say you're going to be better off spending that time and energy on chest supported rows and pull downs and pullovers instead, because then the only muscle that's really getting worked is that intended muscle, right? If you're going in for a chest day and somebody tells you this awesome chest machine you've never tried before, and you get on it and you immediately feel like you're hitting your triceps just as much as you're hitting your chest, let's say it's some kind of funky, some other close grip bench or something, and you're not trying to hit triceps on this this chest day, right? That movement doesn't really match. I'm aiming for a what would you call it? I'm aiming for a small spread, right? Right in the center at whatever muscle I'm really targeting. And in a bodybuilding context, I think that's kind of the point. If I'm coming into the gym to hit arms, I don't want to leave with sore legs. That'd make no sense. I want my arms to get full and proper attention, right? So, other than that, there honestly hasn't been that much. It's just like trying some new movements. And then I think one kind of eureka moment that a lot of guys will have with back, at least if you lift for long enough, is you start to actually feel like you're pulling with your lats, right? You get some actual scapular contraction or scapular retraction, and you can actually feel that the primary mover isn't like just your hands and your biceps and your forearms. Like you're actually pulling your arm downward, really kind of flexing your lat, right? I mean, even just sitting here, like, I feel like I can flex all sorts of muscles all over my body. And even when I watch these videos back, or even just these sets back, sometimes I catch myself, if I'm doing rows or something, I might just kind of instinctively like flex my lats a little bit, or like never mind traps, really just like my lats. Just kind of I wonder if that's like the lifter version of a tick, right? But either way, getting a good grasp of really feeling your back, same thing with really feeling your chest or any muscle, that's probably the second kind of sort of like eye-opening kind of change. But apart from that, don't think that you have to completely reinvent the wheel year after year after year. Like if you got a steady kind of repertoire of movements, pull downs, dumbbell rows, cable rows, single arm pullovers, machine pullovers, machine row, machine pull down, like, there's all sorts of everything. And you're looking at the little diagram on the side, and it's showing exactly what muscles that machines are hitting. So even if you're not totally sure, you can usually use that as a bit of a guide. The trick isn't necessarily like, okay, I've been lifting for 4 years instead of 2 years, now I'm twice as smart. It's not always exactly the case, right? You get twice the experience, and you've built up, sort of the all the gains that you would have gotten from twice the amount of working out. But don't get too daunted. I've been saying this a lot, and I feel like it's just kind of because I see the opposite of what I'm saying so much. It's like, dude, just try not to freak, right? The what works isn't something going to change because of whatever's kind of the trendiest sort of movement, right? I mean, we've all seen the, well, maybe not we've all, but I'm sure you've seen some kind of fancy pants, over the top sort of machine setups, or like suit. It's like, come on, you get a couple moving parts, but once you kind of combine 2 or 3 different pieces of equipment into like a jerry-rigged sort of something, I don't care how well you explain it with like, oh, the contraction is like 3 times more stimulus, and then yeah, come on. I'd be surprised if that would really just beat a basic straight set of pull downs, especially if I get my headphones going, get myself amped up to whatever I end up listening to, and then totally kill it, potentially with some assisted reps from somebody else. Right? I mean, that's where I think the effort might potentially supersede your, I don't want to say technique, but maybe, I don't know. I was about to say workout specificity, but now I feel like I'm just saying, go hard. All right, we all get the gist. I almost feel like I don't even need to say it, but it's well, either way. But plan for today with back, pull downs, rows, pullovers. I'm going to go as heavy as I can on some of the heavy movements, and then for the lighter squeezing ones, not that much weight will be necessary, because all I'm really aiming for is that kind of burning fatigue at the bottom, and then really opening everything up in the stretch position. Whereas a heavy set, you don't get that real burning squeeze at the bottom, but you do get a crazy amount of tension up in that stretch position. And I think those are the 2 most widespread kind of umbrellas of styles of sets. So if your workout is composed of at least those 2, you get some heavy, really kind of weight-focused sets, and then you've also got some lighter squeezing ones. I'd say you're at least approaching a good lift, and then that's kind of up to you with your with just how recovered and hydrated you are to have a pump that won't really reflect that. But 827, I doubt this lift will take too long. Honestly, back is not one of the long ones. Usually arms or legs will usually arms to legs will kind of roll over a little bit more. But a single body part lift like this, you know, if somebody's sitting back for more than an hour and a half, I'd be curious to know what that workout was written out as and what it looked like. Now maybe the guy killed it, you know, who's to say? But that's enough just random jabber. Let's get started. Let's not get too fancy. Just start with some pull downs. Wide-ish grip. You know, obviously you're never going to want to have something like this. But do I think you really have to go all the way out here? Not exactly. I feel like, what do you think? Is that about 1.5 times shoulder width? I mean, I guess it depends on your clavicles, but something like that's usually all right. Yeah. Oh my God, okay. Oh. Ooh. 1 or 2 more of those. Nothing wrong with something simple. Oh, okay. Holy shit. Oh. 1 more. 1 stinking more of these. Oh, okay. Oh my God. Okay. Let's do something with a squeeze and hold now. Awesome 3 openers. Even if they were a little nasty, the feeling I've got in my lats, undeniable. All right, I lied. Light squeezing set after a few of these heavy T-bar rows. Okay. Oh my God. Oh. 1 more. Oh my goodness. It feels good to go heavy. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's enough of that. Oh my goodness. Now let's do an actual squeezing set of rows. Oh. Yeah. Look, light and squeezing all you want. There's no replacing throwing some shit around. Within reason, of course. Oh. Hard to go wrong here. So seat yay far, yay high. Cable as such, with a plate slapped on the side, purely for, well, just a touch more weight. But what I like about this, and I haven't done this for a while, the only reason I kind of remembered was I was doing this in my dieting down back days, because obviously I'm not lifting that much weight, so lighter squeezing sets took a bit more priority. right? Stimulus without so much fatigue and damage and, potential for injury, right? So let's say maybe my forearm was wrecked, right? Somebody tried to throw me a football, or I tried to throw something, and I like totally tweak or I fall or whatever, and heavy pulling was not in the cards. It just felt like I was really flaring it up. I could still do back. I would just do a lighter squeezing day. So movements like this make a bit more sense. Maybe you tweak something. You don't really want to totally full throttle, but you still want to get some activation. But as a finisher, A-okay. Honestly, if I really kill it with this one, this could be it. But maybe I need one more with like a superset, we'll just have to see. I've got no way of knowing exactly how kind of pumped and fatigued I'll feel until this set is over, right? So that's kind of my if-then statement. If I'm fully pumped and fully fatigued, then I pose down. And if not, do another set, right? Not the most complicated thing in the world. But with these, slow, eccentric, and I really want to feel my shoulder blades like open up all the way. I don't know if you can really see it through the shirt, but it's like this is them fully retracted, and then they kind of round over. Right in here, they're more stretched. So since this is slow and controlled, I really want to get all the way as open as possible at the bottom, and then as squeezed and retracted as possible. But this is the same as any light squeezing set. Hold it, burn it, right? Repeat until you can't. Okay. I'm not done. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, that's all. Let's find some lighting. Yeah, step back to was sort of bottom up. Lats first, traps last. All right, back complete. And what was that? 3 heavy pull downs, 2 heavy T-bar rows, and squeezing set of just upper back cable rows with relatively light weight. Like, even though that's still a full stack, the fact that it has a pulley, I mean, if you'll ever notice, that stack is the exact same amount of metal as like a pull down. But obviously the pull down stack feels much heavier than the regular like adjustable arm stack, right? So don't get too freaked. Right? The stack isn't the most unmanageable thing in the world, but let's see how back's looking through the shirt. Little pre-pump check, kind of teaser. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm feeling pretty freaking wide. That's what I'm aiming for. So that's A-okay with me. That's kind of the freaking idea. So let's see how we look. No way. Is this a 3X? Or is this a 2XL sweater? Yeah, 2X. I'm not filling out a 3X yet. Give me some time. But that 2X is fitting quite freaking nicely. Let's see how we're looking. Oh, guys. I can see my own reflection in this little door. Holy crap. Traps are going freaking bananas. Oh. Oh. Oh, man. All right. And one more for the road. Oh. Oh. That was a good back day. I'd say out of all my muscles combined, or maybe not combined, but compared to each other, my back has probably been affected the least strength-wise. Which, even though it's not crazy ahead in terms of size, my back has always been one of my stronger points. So I guess that doesn't surprise me too bad. Because there is no, or at least there's very minimal kind of, back in my mind fear that when I do a really heavy set of those T-bar rows or the pull downs, that I think I'm going to pull anything. Whereas, with squats or even a really heavy bench, like I'm still being reasonably cautious because I'm not to the point of maybe not mastery, but at least the ability to really exert my maximum force on the weights, which, I'm not a freaking power lifter, but come on, if I'm gonna do a heavy set, I want to do a real heavy set, but not so real that it, let's just say, has a negative outcome, if you get what I'm saying. But a rather basic back day, and frankly, I don't think there's anything really magic about the exercise selection. A pull down, a row, and then a light squeezing movement. If I finished with pullovers, I probably would have felt fine too. So, maybe some people are much more inclined to have a longer, thought out, very meticulous, like, okay, 3 sets for my latissimus dorsi, 5 sets for my trapezius, 3 sets for my rhomboid medial, which I'm not knocking somebody else's thought process with the working out, because if that's what gets you going and you're killing it, who am I to say jack, right? Obviously you're doing what you like and you're making gains. But, for those who may feel a little, not aimless, but potentially overwhelmed by every different fitness character saying this way, this way, this way, this guy, don't sweat it. The one thing that all these guys have in common is they lift weights a lot. So if you get that down, you'll see. Don't let me spoil your lifting journey for you. You'll see what happens along the way. But let's get in the car. I was getting a little nervous walking out with the tripod because I kind of feel like it's a damn. Oh yeah, see, check that shit out. Imagine me walking my happy pumped butt to the car and I got a freaking electrode sticking out of my backpack. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I kind of held the tripod part down a little bit lower. But now I want to kind of sit and watch a little bit of lightning. Yeah, I guess you could say this friggin' back pump was electric. I'd say that's not a bad descriptor, in all honesty. But yeah, now I get to go home, get some food in my system, and yeah, not much difficulty bulking yet. It's going to take a while for the bulking to reach its sort of, I guess you could kind of say full swing. Because right now, eating a regular amount of food, I'm gaining weight pretty steadily. Because I just came off of a pretty dang strict dieting phase, So when you go back and forth like that, bulking, dieting, off-season, prep, whatever, there is a bit of a kind of gradient, which I didn't used to always implement. Because in my mind, hey man, I'm going from dieting to bulking. You know what that means? That means I'm eating 5,000 calories off the rip, right? No easing up, no nothing. Just start chowing down. Whereas now, right, my ways have changed a little bit. I've been kind of, maybe not. I don't want to say informed, because honestly, I've kind of known that it's probably better to ease into it. But my meat-headed sort of personality always thinks, okay, more in the beginning is better. More food, more calories, more gain, right? More energy, more freaking physical mass to be deposited. But you got to ramp it up, right? You can't just shift straight into sixth gear, right? You got to go in first, you got to go in second, you got to go in third. Oh, you got to downshift because now you're, this, that, or the other, right? A lot of angles at play. So if you can mind the loudness of the rain. My plan for the post-workout meal, undecided, right? Not totally sure what I think post-workout look like. Definitely some ground beef. Definitely carb-wise, not so sure. I've got some medium-sized potatoes sitting in the cupboard that, after just 45 minutes in the oven, combined with some olive oil, combined with some salt and pepper and paprika and whatnot, ends up being pretty damn good. But I don't know. It's already getting kind of late. I don't know if I really want to actually cook anything like that. I might just do like an instant kind of bag of rice, something like that. But most of my meals, even though I'm not really, like, you could say, dieting super specifically, because I can kind of just make sure I eat enough food before I train, so I'm fully carved up and energized, and just kind of go from there. But the meals do look pretty similar, right? I'm talking 50 or so grams of protein, sometimes more, sometimes less. It is just like kind of I say a carb-focused meal, more of like just a mid-meal sort of snack. And then fats, I'm trying to keep a bit lower. I'm trying not to really exceed 25 grams per meal, just so I don't kind of overdo it. Because even at the end of this bulking phase, I don't really want my fats intake to exceed like 100, maybe 120 or so. I'm trying to leverage carbs in a bit more of a pumped up glycogen focused kind of fashion, right? Because I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but the path from carbs to ATP / kind of muscle glycogen, that's secondary sort of fuel, it's pretty quick, right? Anything else trying to convert into those carbs, just doesn't make as much sense. So if I want to be full of carbs, right, carbed up, energized, full, strong, then I'm obviously going to lean forward to a bit more carb-heavy meals when it comes to my the energy side of the calories. Because for me, at least, I look at the protein, fats, and carbs just like proteins. This is more of a bro sciencey explanation, but proteins are going to be a bit more kind of building block-esque, whereas I look at the carbs and fats more as essentially kind of the energy kind of foods, right? You add your carbs, you'll feel more energy. You add more protein, not so much. You'll feel more full, of course, but you're not gonna carb up on amino acids, if you know what I'm talking about right there. That's a nice little specific reference. But I think that's all I got. I'm gonna try not to let anybody spin out and crash into me on my way home, which I really freaking doubt. Right? I don't know what it's like for anybody else, but just regular rainy weather, who spins out? I've never seen it. But let's just say knock on wood here. I'm not asking for it either. So plan for tomorrow with arms. I'm not exactly sure what gym arms is going to go down in, but I can guarantee that they are going to be thrashed, not beyond repair, but maybe within an inch of their life. That's what I'm aiming for. I think I accomplished that with legs. At least, maybe not. It was a good leg day for where I'm at right now. But these lifts will increase in intensity as this bulking phase progresses. So just be ready for it. So, assuming I don't get struck by lightning and explode, I will see you tomorrow
for what I hope to be my freakiest arm day yet, and I will not forget the tape measure. The bona fide guarantee. I guess I don't know what my punishment would be if I don't bring it, but I don't even have to worry about it because I know I'm going to bring it. So I'll see you then.